back. King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands says he hopes to build good relations with South Africa in the future. In July this year, the King issued an apology for the country's involvement in the slave trade, asking forgiveness. For more on this, I'm now joined by Igshaan Higgins from the Civil Society Coalition. Mr. Higgins, thank you so much for speaking to us here on SA Tonight. So the coalition has acknowledged the recent apology from the Dutch monarchy for their nation's involvement in the slave trade, but you emphasize the need for tangible actions and reparations to accompany this apology, such as, give us an idea of what you're hoping will happen.
Okay, firstly, thank you for the opportunity, and yes, on behalf of the Civil Society Coalition, yes, we obviously want to engage with the Dutch authorities. I mean, we acknowledge that the King has given an apology, but there's a lot more to an apology than merely words. I mean, we're looking for just compensation and, of course, some form of reparation for 371 years of colonialism, which in turn led to imperialism, which in turn led to slavery and apartheid. So I think a constructive engagement is needed with the Dutch authority, whether it is with the King, whether it is with the Queen, or both of them, or the officials. I mean, it's one, as we said, the apology, it's nice, but now we need to get to practical issues.
Tell us about some of those practical undertakings that you're hoping to get from the Dutch monarchy. There's a whole list of undertakings around water, around housing, around education, around funds, access to opportunities.
Yeah, well, let me just preface that by saying we're talking about stolen land, stolen labor, stolen resources, stolen artifacts. And we need to talk about this, and we want to talk to the Dutch authority in a very meaningful manner. We have put out a press release where we said there's ways we can do a reconciliation. So we put down certain demands, and some of the demands would include access to some of the resources that the Dutch would have. And we're not necessarily talking about money alone. We're talking about land that was stolen, hopefully getting some of that land back. We're talking about minerals, hopefully be compensated for that. And of course, slave labor. I mean, people have been brought here as they were enslaved. The Dutch never paid for that labor. So we want to quantify that and, of course, look at ways we can actually be compensated for that. We as descendants, the Khoisan people, Khoi and the San people, the people that were the descendants of the slaves, I mean, we're still here. And of course, we're still suffering under the yoke of that type of oppression. So, and we want another Truth and Reconciliation Commission so that we can, I mean, we've had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, but we can narrow down on some of these things. And I think one of that would be for us to speak to our former colonial masters so that they can understand these things properly. We had the Pope renouncing the doctrine of discovery. We now have a Dutch king saying sorry, apology for slavery. But now is the time to sit down and say, right, what comes with an apology? A sincere apology comes with some form of compensation. It comes with some form of reparations. And I think we now ready to engage the monarch and or the Dutch authority.
Have you received any indication that the Dutch monarchy or their officials representing them are open to such dialogue?
Well, we saw today that the Dutch monarchy, they met with some people. And of course, it was all nice, and it looked like it was more like a tea party. But I think we need to get down to business. So I think the first thing was the protest, which was today. We put out a press release. Now I think we should call for a press conference, and then we must have constructive dialogue with the Dutch authority. They are not our enemies. We're going to be looking at them as people that we can sit down with. There has been no indication thus far, but I'm hoping with the type of press that this protest got today, especially in the Netherlands, that they will be open to that type of dialogue. And we're happy to talk to anyone who's prepared to listen from the Dutch side. So, yeah, it's early days, and I'm hoping this will be the first salvo that we are serious about wanting to have a dialogue so that we can get to reparations and hopefully be properly compensated for whatever has occurred in South Africa against the indigenous population and the enslaved people for the past 371 years.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us here on SA Tonight. That was Igshaan Higgins from the Civil Society Coalition talking to us in the wake of a protest, peaceful protest there after the arrival of the Dutch King and Queen in South Africa today.